You're retro trekking with the Caramel Apples, a podcast that dials up thoughtful, heartwarming nostalgia of all things great and retro in the golden era of pop culture and beyond. I'm Kennedy Rizzo.
And I'm Cooper Lee.
Being shameless Gen Xers super fans of the iconic 70s and 80s, where each week we handpick and recount the intriguing gems that enriched a bygone era and fondly discuss how these cherished past elements impacted us with all of its memorable feel-goods then into how it shaped the now current view of the known world. Join us in the orchard this week as we deep dive our fond memories of the lovable retro primetime show, BJ and the Bear.
So, Kennedy, yes, I absolutely love getting deep into most of the nostalgic topics we choose to fondly recall.
Yes.
And, they're all so entertaining, and most of our retro memories, the strong ones, come from smack dab in the middle of the 80s mostly, because that's just our time period.
It is.
But this week, our chosen retro entry is amping up to be quite the fun one.
I'm ready.
Yay, me too. So don't you know if you're feeling similar about recounting the wonderful, fun memories surrounding the old primetime show, BJ and the Bear. But not gonna lie, the recollections are fairly strong with this one.
No, Coop, I'm right there with you on that, totally. I mean, BJ and the Bear is one of those fun, nostalgic, and memorable series from the late 70s and early 80s. We used to watch it along with our dada when we were younger and always enjoyed it.
Yeah, me thinks Dada had great taste in entertainment.
Indeed he did. BJ and the Bear was a wholesome TV show having quite a unique concept. So let's jump right in, sis.
Okay, let's do that. So BJ and the Bear is an American action comedy television series which aired on NBC Network from February 10th, 1979 to May 9th, 1981. And it was created by Glenn A. Larson and Christopher Crowe.
Okay.
So this riveting series starred actor Greg Evigan.
BJ and the Bear was produced when the CB radio trucking craze was at its peak here in the States. And this development was quite noticeable as it showed up in other opportunities to showcase the trend in both other television shows as well as film. Some of those retro offerings we can recall are a show called Moving On, and that one ran from 1974 through 1976. Most fun catchy song in a joining movie, Convoy, from 1975. This song was performed by C.W. McCall. My hubby loves Convoy. He loves the song. He loves all that. So, he was like, oh, yes, that's totally cool points there.
That was Chris Christopherson, right?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah, we'll have to do that movie. That's a good movie.
All right, yeah, let's do it.
That is a good movie. We also have film in this genre category, like White Line Fever from 1975. We watched that one, too. That was a good one. Smokey and the Bandit is in the arsenal from 1977. Convoy the film, again, that came out in 1978. So the song we just mentioned was 75. The movie came out in 78.
Got it, okay.
And also in 1978, Every Which Way But Loose. Coop, I've seen all of these and liked them, but that last entry, I have not seen that one.
Really? Okay. Okay,
Nope.
that makes sense. There's only a couple on that list that I'm kind of familiar with, so
Project!
I'm right there with you. Yeah, the last one I totally would have known was around. And definitely seeing a theme here.
Yes.
Trucking in the 70s was huge.
It really was a thing. It was a thing.
Yeah. But I'm not a bit surprised, Kennard. And for obvious reasons. And that's quite an impressive trucker list that you just checked off. And BJ and the Bear fits nicely in that lineup. But you mentioned both the song and film, that of Convoy.
Mm-hmm.
BJ and the Bear was quite similar in that respect. Fun fact, did you know that the theme song was titled, BJ and the Bear?
Oh, that's a stretch right there. Oh my God, really?
That was an all-nighter coming up with that one.
I'm telling you, man, the smoke is strong on that one.
But that song was written by Glenn A. Larson and performed by our star trucker hero, Greg Evigan.
Wow, very interesting. And I can hear the song, but wouldn't have in a million years put two and two together and surmise that it was BJ, or Greg Evigan. Crazy.
Yeah.
I love covering wonderful retro topics.
Mm-hmm.
So spoiler alert, which I'm so good at. Greg Evigan stars as BJ McKay, who is professional freelance and itinerant trucker who travels the country's highways in an also distinctive red and white cab-over semi-truck. But he's not riding alone. Oh no. BJ is adorably accompanied by his best friend and companion, Bear, his pet chimpanzee.
So, I think that was kind of like a reoccurring theme too, like, having the monkeys around and stuff.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know. I could be grasping at straws, but I don't know. It seemed like something. But, Bear was both stinky and adorable.
He was.
Wearing his little clothes, hats, and other trendy fashion of the time. So speaking of Bear, fun fact, Bear the chimpanzee was named after the famous football coach, Paul William, a.k.a. Bear Bryant.
Oh, okay.
He was the coach of the University of Alabama. And we also learned a few things about B.J. McKay in the pilot episode. It was disclosed that he was a prisoner of war in North Vietnam at Hanoi Hilton for 4 months in 1973 after his helicopter went down over the DMZ.
Okay, so right here is yet another Vietnam reference baked into the source or backstory of the series.
Uh-huh.
This was a huge inclusion topic and theme that found its way in so many nostalgic TV shows and movies back in the 70s and 80s. Like, major.
Oh, it really was.
I think it trumps your monkey theme.
Yeah.
It was Vietnam, not monkeys. I'm just kidding.
I think you're right, though. Yes. And a lot of these shows and such were fortunate to have had, the actual conflict in Vietnam to reference and include in so much stuff, since it really was seemingly fresh in the minds of society at large.
It really was, Coop. Episodes typically dealt with BJ uncovering or getting mixed up with crime in the location he's traveling through. Even more predictably, he'd cross paths with a local resident, usually a young, beautiful lass, appealing to him for assistance of some sort.
The classic damsel in distress.
There it is.
But BJ and the Bear took place in a very distinctive semi, as we mentioned earlier, in an awesome time capsule trek of the late 70s, early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact, speaking of the semi cab over, this particular one showcased in the series was a Kenworth K100 Aerodyne.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I know I'm speaking your language there now, right?
It's more like the hubby hubs.
Yes, I mean, this is his jam.
This is his jam.
But BJ's Kenworth can still be seen at truck shows all around the country.
Awesome.
Yeah. It was hard to miss the bright red and white cab over with the chimpanzee riding shotgun as it busts through the roadside sign, blowing its horn. Pretty neat, huh?
Totally.
You could totally see it too.
Yes, you can.
So that is describing a good time, Kennard. And it was so incredibly retro, so incredibly nostalgic.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's so appealing about it. What you'll experience when you sit down to watch is nothing short of wonderful escapism.
I agree. BJ and the Bear is an entertaining, escapist fantasy with colorful, exciting scenarios, locations, and cop-civilian conflicts all throughout. Not just the guest stars and the easily identifiable retro fashions, but the basic mood and feel of the era. TV shows could still be expected to be fun and frivolous, and boy did they deliver on those two elements.
Yeah.
The late 70s, early 80s is perhaps the last leg of pure fun. Unadulterated, unapologetic entertainment stored in the archives of television history for all of us rabid retro buffs.
Rabid is a good descriptive word.
Yes, we are a rabid tribe.
So, the trucker's experience showcased in BJ and the Bear organically captured this light and airy time. Mm-hmm. And as we've said, was quite a mainstay in retro offerings back then. Highlighting truckers' experience up close and personal was white hot in so many of the shows and movies back then. Mm-hmm. There definitely was no shortage of them.
This is true. You just mentioned that a little bit ago, like this was a thing. And the audience was hungry for it.
Give me.
So moving on. Pun intended.
Yes!
We got familiar with a frequent guest star in the first season, and that was and ended up being Sheriff Elroy P. Lobo, played by Claude Akins. P.U. So the pun just referenced is due to Mr. Akins previously starring in another 70s retro trucking series entitled Moving On. Uh-huh. But back to BJ and the Bear, Sheriff Lobo's character eventually got his own spin-off show entitled The Misadventures of Sheriff Lobo, right along with another guest character, Waverly, played by Ben Cooper.
Okay, so this is a nice segue fun fact to share with the Orchard Archivers. Fun fact, in order to make a more compelling product for syndication, all episodes of, and its spin-off, The Misadventures of Sheriff Lobo, and then later on changed to Lobo Only, were packaged as a bundle titled The BJ and Lobo Show.
Okay.
BJ and the Bear, as well as the spin-off Sheriff Lobo, were in fact very, very popular shows.
Sheriff Lobo was relentlessly after BJ McKay and wanted to find him guilty of meddling in affairs or blaming or attaching him to crime. He really earned his surname. For we all know that Lobo means wolf in Spanish.
Yes.
Un lobo. So speaking of syndication, BJ and the Bear lasted 3 seasons, and Lobo lasted 2 seasons. So this took place during the time when syndication proved to be more money than creating new shows. Yeah, so the original shows possessed a lot of episodes.
Okay.
Cha-ching! Let that cash register ring!
And honestly, it felt like it was so much longer of a running time, and that is due to syndication, obviously. Because when you're kids, you don't realize you've seen the same episode over and over again.
Yes.
But it did seem like it was on the air a lot longer than just the 3 seasons.
It did. I think we had talked about that before you had mentioned that, and that's so true.
Yeah.
Way true.
Yeah. And also, the thing about Sheriff Lobo. The way he was kind of always, tagging McKay as the one who's doing the bad stuff, which, for show purposes, he was doing a lot of the stuff.
Right.
Was that a form of profiling? Anything bad happens, it's got to be him. I was like, well.
Ooh, early examples of such. Take notes.
Poor McKay. All in good fun.
That's right.
So talk about nostalgia. I love BJ and the Bear, and it deserved a much longer run, as it was a whole lot of wholesome fun. And we really could classify it right up alongside of popular retro classics like, the Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh, totally, yes.
Yeah, and BJ and the Bear was all about the little guy versus the man. And thankfully, the little guy pretty much won most of the time.
You're right, Cooper. My goodness. Because that's not just the storyline or plot of a show.
Right.
That concept is reality, unfortunately. Oh, my goodness. Well, here you have this big, bad mamma jamma trucker, an ex-Vietnam medic, mystery-solving truck driver, running into both trouble and beautiful women everywhere.
Oh, his life.
I know. Which we'll get into here in a minute. And a pet chimp, yeah, we can't forget about him, named Bear.
Mm-hmm.
Any given week, BJ can go into a small town and solve a mystery a la Dukes of Hazzard style. Which, we definitely have a whole episode in our Trek Retros on Dukes of Hazzard. So, pretty fascinating stuff. Is crazy. So, you'll have to check that out. Join us on that one. That's pretty good stuff.
Cool, yeah.
But yeah, BJ, he mercilessly flirts and tries to impress the pretty girl in the mystery. He then manages to deliver his load on time every week, all within our neatly packaged 45-minute show.
Efficient.
Very efficient. And like most retro classics for guest stars, they'd add pro wrestlers, other pretty models, celebrities, hot girls that were notable names back at that time. Then you'd have your bar fights, which was huge in the trucking world. Corrupt cops, a.k.a. Sheriff Lobo. And then again, you can't forget about the Bear doing cute things that eased up tense moments. He made us chuckle. Making for a fun hour in hopes to con your parents into letting you stay up and watch TV a little longer with them. That's not too much for a kid's ass now, is it?
No, only on a school night.
Yes, we didn't get so fortunate at our house.
Yeah. Special occasions. But BJ and the Bear was one of my all-time favorite shows as a young one. Mm-hmm. It was fun, special memories of hanging out with Dada. And anytime we got to, consume awesome retro shows was just a good time.
It was.
And Greg Evigan was great. And of course, let's not forget Sam, the chimp who played the Bear.
He wants his airtime. Screen time, buddy.
I didn't get dressed up like this for nothing.
That's right. Would you wear these overalls, he's like? Get her done.
Fun fact. Did you know that famous actor Dennis Quaid was considered to play BJ McKay?
Oh, really?
I just love the Carmelicious tidbits we find out when we cover fascinating retro topics.
I do too. Huh. Dennis Quaid, he's a decent actor in his own right. Mm-hmm. But predictably, things would have been way different had he been cast in the role of BJ McKay.
No doubt. I'm
sorry, but BJ is Greg Evigan.
Yes.
Greg Evigan was outstanding in his interaction with the Bear, and it was very impressive. Their chemistry was undeniable. And we, the fans, simply ate it up. Mm-hmm. Mr. Evigan should have been given an Emmy nod straight up. Well, was that a stretch or whatever? No, I think he should have gotten an Emmy. That's right.
Yeah, at least one.
Good show. BJ and the Bear was so entertaining that as we think back and fondly recall some of the cool scenes and memories of the show, it's easy to see why we'd want to take another look at the trucking craze that swept through the mid to late 70s like a wildfire.
Yes, and raged on. It really did.
That's no joke. That was crazy.
It was. It was its own concept.
It was.
And it just caught fire.
Yes, it did.
So BJ was always a step ahead of the bungling lawman.
Thank God.
But it was brilliantly portrayed by Claude Akins and Mills Watson as Deputy Perkins. I hate to see the show go off the air in which they could do a carefully crafted TV movie again or something. We would grant them permission on that because it really was a cool show. But notice how I say carefully crafted.
Right.
Yes. Clue words. Our dad really liked this series, as he was a trucker here and there during that trend and craze back then. And those trucking moments were so nostalgic.
Oh yeah, totally.
It would be nice to see that big red and white Kenworth K100 Aerodyne on the road again.
I agree, Coop. BJ and the Bear was a mixture of several formulas. It was part Smokey and the Bandit, part Every Which Way But Loose, part Dukes of Hazzard, and part Convoy with a little sprinkle of hee-haw mixed in there for good measure. This show had an original premise since it was a mixture of the good old boy farce, romance with lots and lots of pretty girls, nonstop action, and of course BJ's pet chimp. There he is again getting his screen time. He's the sidekick and comedy relief. Yeah. The plot basically stayed the same during the show's run, which lasted only 3 seasons, as you just stated.
Insane. BJ was always one step ahead of the inept woman, as we said, and would lose him in each and every episode. But along the way, BJ dealt with crooked truckers, outlandish local people of the hills, and usually lots of beautiful women in tight clothes, which to some extent, including that in this show, could have been viewed as very sexist.
Different times, yes.
Yes, but no matter, the women worked so well, especially when one of them were the object of every man's fantasy each week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Adding eye candy to retro shows was really a thing.
Yeah, so we've hinted and referenced this a few times that BJ and the Bear in the mid-second to third season, the introduction of his many lady friends who rode in the trailer and accompanied BJ and the Bear on some of their adventures.
Yeah, this makes you think of Charlie's Angels.
Another good show.
Oh, yes. Yes. But, speaking of Charlie's Angels, this was under the title of Jiggle TV.
Oh yeah, we actually covered that one. We did Charlie's Angels. We did a show on them. Yeah, that was referenced in that episode. Check that out.
Yes, and thankfully, we were young and didn't even know this term until later on. Now we know this term
right over our heads.
Yay!
Never heard of it.
Yeah, but guaranteed, the men did.
Different strokes for different folks.
So this is a fun fact that we actually brought up in our sister twin Carmel talk a few weeks back. Fun fact. Who remembers the Barreau sisters, Candy and Randy? The sisters were in some of the old school Wrigley Double Mint gum commercials, and they actually were a couple of hot bombshells that were showcased on BJ and the Bear.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there was also Judy Landers. BJ was a lady-killing, rugged, blue-collar trucker.
Wasn't there one of the characters' ladies named Stax?
Yeah, Kennedy, that was Judy Landers.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm with you. I remember we used to play BJ and the Bear on our bikes and big wheels. Right along with our friends, the neighbor kids that live next door. Fun times these retro shows provided, which fueled a child's imagination with a lot of wonder.
Yeah, back when kids liked to play outside.
Sure did.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now. If this episode entertained you, please share it. Spread the word. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your continued support. Now, back to the show.
So, Kennedy, you mentioned that that it did fuel our imaginations and everything, and we did play with our friends.
Yes.
Just down the street.
It was a good time.
So I fondly remember that as well. So cool memory. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yes.
So back to BJ and the Bear. Fun fact. The final season saw a change as BJ was teamed with 7 female truckers who all became regulars or semi-regulars.
I remember this fondly, yes.
Yeah. And in 1981, when the series returned for its 3rd season with a 2-part episode entitled BJ and the 7 Lady Truckers.
Okay, not to be confused with the season 2 opener episode, Snow White and the 7 Lady Truckers, also containing 2 parts.
That's right. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yes, we're still confused, whatever.
But BJ has settled down to run Bear Enterprises, which is a trucking company based in LA. And his nemesis is Rutherford T. Grant, played by the ever-entertaining actor Murray Hamilton.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we like him.
Yes, we do.
Who's the corrupt head of, who I assume is California's Special Crime Action Team, who it turns out is a secret partner in a competing trucking company.
Ooh, good plot set up there, Cooper. Sounds intriguing. Not bad, right?
Yeah, sounds good.
But because of Grant's harassment, BJ is unable to hire experienced truckers. Is then forced to think outside the box and hire 7 beautiful young female truckers, consisting of as follows. Grant's own daughter, named Cindy, played by Sherilyn Walter. Twins, Jerry and Terry, played by who you just mentioned, Candy and Randy Burrow. No-nonsense Angie, played by Sheila Willis. Samantha was played by Amanda Horan Kennedy, which is another awesome name.
Kennedy!
Oh my goodness. There's not enough of us in the world, I don't know. You're like, no, I beg to differ. There needs to be more Cooper. Well, we got a C name here. So we got Callie, played by Linda McCullough. And my favorite Stax, you just talked about, was Judy Landers. Mm-hmm. The ladies also cavorted along with a female dispatcher, Stacy, and that was played by Susan Woolen. So we're pretty sure that this addition to the show caused natural excitement among the red-blooded male entity aplenty at that time.
Oh, yeah. This is Jiggle TV and it's... Yes, talk about it.
This is the 70s.
And, even continuing on with that thought, Stax, that nickname or whatever.
Yeah.
I can see that going 2 different ways.
Okay.
Okay, so the Stax on the truck.
Right, okay.
Sure. All right, so that's the cool, we're definitely in the trucker phase. But I can also see it meaning, because I do remember when we were younger, our mama would say that women, when they had a nice physique or whatever,
oh yes,
men would say that they were stacked.
Yes.
So I do wonder if this was a play on words with her nickname.
It could have been, because I think she stood out a
Yeah.
lot out of the 7 lady truckers. I think she pretty much stood out.
So that's really cool.
Nice intel there, Cooper. Thanks for adding that.
Well, you're welcome. But it's funny, but so true. That really did probably light the fire. I mean, it's a trucking show, so it's, back in the 70s, it was definitely made for men to watch.
Oh, definitely. Mm-hmm. Sure.
But BJ and the Bear would run alongside the misadventures of Chef Lobo on a weekly basis. And as we've stated before, during the show's original run from 78 to 1981, it was shown at least once, with BJ and the Bear airing first. Then Lobos, with their plots sometimes crossing over into each other.
Sure.
Which is good marketing, really.
Yeah.
Both shows included their fair share of high adrenaline charged adventures, with the occasional prerequisite car truck chases and crashes.
Can't not have those.
And even though we do vividly remember watching this fond retro gem, we probably only vaguely recall a small amount of stuff, key details about the show now.
Yeah, that's how these minds work. They're feeble.
Yes! Day to day.
Dust them off now.
But, thank goodness for the research, right, Kennard?
You said it. Now that we've had the opportunity to deep dive into our intriguing discussion this week, we have a clearer picture about what BJ and the Bear truly is about. The tagline for the series, which states that we're watching a trucker and his pet chimpanzee travel the highways of the United States, gets into various adventures and misadventures along the way. I think we'll tune in.
10-4, good buddy.
And what's your 20?
BJ and the Bear is both exceptional as well as genuinely entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
This series was able to deal with serious, sometimes even controversial things.
Oh, totally, yeah.
But it's a comedy mixed with a little bit of drama peppered in. And, the creative execs rarely, if ever, did or brought anything serious or offensive on the show.
These were better times.
Yeah. It was about sitting down and escaping your life, right?
There it is, bingo.
Yeah, just enjoy what we prepared for you.
Mm-hmm.
And the cast interactions are as good as you'll see in any uber acclaimed show on a drama type TV show such as this one. Mm-hmm. The cast all had an easygoing appeal that really made BJ and the Bear work. And you could not, I repeat, you could not make a show like this today.
This is the travesty of entertainment then versus now.
Yes, virtually impossible.
Yes.
Why, you may ask? Because much like everything else nowadays, thanks to, the PC correct sensitive crowd abound, and the recent turn of events all throughout current culture as we know it, like the addition of the women to the show.
Right.
Back then, it flowed very well for them.
Yeah, what you were just talking about.
Yes, it was about just sit here and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Our main star is a guy, and he's
Right.
hanging out and he's getting into all these adventures and he's, sometimes working with the women, sometimes just running into the women, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, it was just classic 70s TV. And now, maybe some people would be a little offended that there were all these women running around just for him to be interested in or to kind of just interact with him. And it's like,
yeah. So what, they were eye candy. What's the big deal?
yeah.
That's what it was.
Why are we reading so much into it? It's just a show.
I miss the old days. I mean, You know what? It works for people now, but yeah, that's a key point. That is a big difference in retro entertainment versus now. So it's nice you brought that up.
Yeah. When I turn on the tube, I just want to enjoy what I'm watching.
Yeah, I want to escape. Like you said, I want to sit back, enjoy my food or whatever, my snacks, and escape. Is that too much to ask? Apparently.
Yes. But, it's just a function of the jocularity and the occasional campiness of the show.
So, what more can we say about one of our 70s retro favorites, that of BJ and the Bear? Well, as we've pointed out a lot this week, BJ and the Bear is an entertaining escapist fantasy for the small screen, with colorful, exciting scenarios, locations, and adventures, all while possessing that cop-civilian conflict all throughout. But above all, this show takes place mostly in a very noticeable relic red and white cab-over semi-truck, where its intriguing characters and supporting cast members readily play out live-action adventures for the adoring audience week after week. BJ and the Bear really capture the basic mood of the trendy CB-crazed trucking era.
Yeah. We so used to watch this along with our data when we were little and always enjoyed it.
Yeah.
There was nothing but lighthearted, wholesome fun to be had as we sat back to enjoy this lovable retro trucking duo.
Word!
We've said this before in so many other Orchard Truck retros that in a good way, it's good that you can't imitate shows like this anymore, at least not on purpose, because it's like a time capsule from a footloose and fancy-free time period in television entertainment history. That one can go back and wistfully recall.
Yeah.
And thank goodness for that, right, Kennard?
Way to caramel apple up our wonderfully nostalgic discussion this week, Cooper. And for those who knew and enjoyed BJ and the Bear, it remains alive in our fond memories and won diehard retro fans over everywhere. BJ and the Bear will not easily be forgotten.
Over and out. Love what you heard on this week's episode? Well, the answer is simple. To tune into future treks and to the Orchard Archives, meet up with us here next week, same time, same place at the Sweet Spot. And it would mean the world to us if you could rate, leave us a shining review, and feedback. Spreading the word really is the best way to grow our podcast and explore more iconic memories. Thank you.